Hey everyone, and welcome. And today's topic is who are you fighting or defending? Who or what are actually, it's what are you fighting or defending? And hi Xenia, good to have you live. And I think um, this is has been like one of the things which has been really big in my life, right? So one thing that I noticed for myself was that I was always in a fight mode. I was always in a fight mode. So my earliest remembrance of myself was a lot of anger, right? And my my family used to call me, you have anger on your nose is red because you have anger on your nose all the time. And for me, a lot of that anger was fighting against everything, right? It was really, really like fighting against so many things, right? Now, here's the thing, when you are fighting against something, what you are ultimately doing is you are fighting against you more than fighting against anyone or anything else. The person you are fighting against the most is actually you. Have you noticed? And there is so much of energy that goes into this fight, okay? That, it's almost like all your energy that could go into something else is actually going into the fighting. And so when I started to do a lot of deep inner work on myself, the first thing that I started looking at was obviously my anger. But as I looked at my anger, what I uncovered underneath that is this fighting. And literally, I could see that I was fighting against everything. I was fighting against every part of my life, and by doing so I was fighting against myself the most, right? And so what I would like you to see is explore where you are fighting in your life, okay? So let me ask you a question, and just notice what pops up for you when I ask you this question. Who or what are you fighting for or against? Who or what are you fighting for or against? Now, this is a great question. So when I asked you this question, did anything pop in your head? Like, and if you would like to share it in the comments, feel free to share it in the comments. Who or what are you fighting for or against? Right? And this is also a brilliant question for you to actually sit down and do journaling on. Okay, so who or what am I fighting for or against? So sit with this question and just do some journaling. And my definition of journaling is literally you're going to put the thoughts from your head onto the paper, right? You're going to take everything from your head and just put it onto the paper, okay? So, who or what are you fighting for or against? And it is really interesting when you start doing journaling on this, because you will start to uncover all the different areas in which you have the fight response going on in your life. Okay. And you will be able to see this. Who or what are you fighting for or against? Family. Fantastic. Yes, definitely. Most of the time it is people that you are fighting for or against, okay? Sometimes you're going to be also fighting for or against concepts. Like, for example, you might be fighting for or against religion, right? You might also be fighting for or against some political party, right? like this is really like right now, if you go on any social media channel, this is the big one going on, the political fight, so like people will kind of they just have to say the smallest thing and it just flares up into this entire political controversy. So who or what are you fighting for or against? So here's the thing, you when you fight for or against something, you're taking a very very strong stance. And when you take a strong stance, you are actually saying that the stance that I have taken is the right stance, and the stance that you have taken is the wrong stance. So you are actually proving yourself as right, and you're proving someone else as wrong. And that's why this whole fight scenario is kind of like a vicious circle which keeps spinning all the time, and there can be no resolution on it. Okay, there can be no resolution on it. Okay, so the on a really global scale, you have countries going to war against each other. So they are fighting against each other. Okay, but on lesser things, you will have people in a family fighting for or against. And sometimes it could, sometimes it's like an open conflict where people like are really fighting against each other. They are and it's very much out in the open. The whole conflict is out in the open, but in most cases it's a very passive aggressive kind of fight going on. So like people are actually saying f f people are actually saying fu, and they use a lot of passive aggressive scenarios in actually doing that. Okay, so the whole point is that you are investing so much energy into this into this whole fight. There is so much of energy that you're investing into this whole fight that it's just it's just taking away all that energy from what you could put that energy into, what you would like, into the creation of your life, into the creation of your business, your money flows. So I'm going to ask you this question again: who or what are you fighting for or against? Okay, I'm fighting to stay positive thinking. Okay, fighting to stay positive thinking. So again, that's a fight. Okay, so what if you didn't have to fight? What if you kind of gave up that fight, right? So by giving up that fight, it does not mean that you're not choosing to kind of put your attention on possibilities. I won't even use the words positive thinking, because positive thinking again is a very strong point of view that people take. But when you say that I would like to put my attention on possibilities instead of limitations, then that changes the entire energy. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of energetic clearing around this. And so the energetic clearing is this: who or what are you fighting for or against? That if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you all of you. Okay, so what this question is pulling out is that it's actually going to pull out those energies within you which are fighting for or against something. And because those all your energy is going into for or against something, that energy is not giving all of you, because a part of your energy is going on in the fight. Hi, Susan. Good to have you live. Okay, so I'm going to do a release around this. So I use a tool called energetic releases. So I'm going to say the question. When I say the question, these energies, they come up. And once these energies come up, I do the energetic release, which is I'm clearing those energies. Okay, so let me do this a few times using this question, and then we will see what starts to open up for you. And so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to just notice your entire body. No, just notice your chest area, notice your head, how it feels, notice your whole, like, generally your whole body how it feels, and then I will do a few rounds of clearing, and then I want you to notice, because what I want to demonstrate to you is how strongly this energy of fight is held into our body. And what this energy of fight does is it creates a level of tenseness in our bodies, which really you will notice it. Okay, so who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you all of you? And now I'm going to just do energetic releases. Okay, so who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for, would give you money beyond this reality? Okay, so this is the one which is addressing where you're fighting against money, right? So you might say, well, I want more money. I'm not fighting against money. But yes, you are fighting against money, because due to whatever, you may have had an experience where you were cheated because of money. So you will go on and you will say that, okay, I was cheated because of money, so I don't want money, right? Because I experienced this feeling of being cheated. So you start your fight against money over there. Okay, so let's do a little bit of clearing around money. So who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you money beyond this reality, or would give you more money than you have ever considered? So let's release on that. Okay, you could also be fighting against you could also be fighting against your own body, right? So who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you a body that you always knew was possible? So all of that, let's release on that. So I have to stop fighting. Well, that's a great question. So the way that I would actually answer that question is this: that fight, when you have a fight response stored in your body, that's a knee jerk reaction. It's a reaction. Okay, it's not it's not you being conscious, it's not you being present, right? So when you have a fight response stored in your body, when anything occurs, what happens is that you go into this knee jerk response of fight. Okay, and as long as this knee jerk response of fight is stored in your body, you have no other choice but that knee jerk reaction of fight. Okay, so with these clearings that I'm running, I don't know what's happening. So I also have my phone set up to stream on Instagram, and it keeps going dark. So that's the reason I keep reaching out my finger there. Okay, so as long as you have this knee jerk reactions stored in your body, what happens is you will keep reacting. When anything occurs, your first reaction is going to be fight. So what we are doing is that with running this clearing, we are deleting the fight response stored in the body. Okay, we are deleting the fight response stored in the body. So I have a bad health problem, so I'm fighting to have back my health. Instead, I should accept what happened. No, this is not what I am telling you. This is absolutely not what this conversation is all about. Okay, what I'm talking about is this energy of fight. Okay, so like, when you fight against something, when you are in a fight, what does that create for you? Does it create ease for you, or does it create a lot of stress, lot of tension for you? Right, it will always create a lot of stress and tension for you. The only thing that will create ease is that when you let go of the fight, and in that space, then you can choose. But as long as you have the fight, you have no choice. So when you're fighting your health problems, that's an additional stress that your body is going through, because you're fighting your health problem. But if you stop fighting the health problem, what happens is that the fight goes away. There's that space which is created, and in that space, you now have more available to you. And what more is available to you is you are more conscious, you are more present, all your energy is available to you in that moment. And now you can use that energy to create, instead of putting that energy in the fight. Okay, so thank you for those questions. That was super valuable. Okay, so who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you a body that you always knew was possible? Let's release on that. So who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, it would give you ease and well-being in your body that you always knew was possible? Let's release on that. Now, uh, I was just going to say something, and it's kind of just slipped from my head. So if I remember, I'll come back to it. Who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you a business beyond what you have ever considered? Let's release on that. Yeah. So what you are actually feeling is, the fight response, leaving your body. And so you are feeling the relaxation when you have the fight response. Like, the next time you are angry at someone, or you are in that state of fight, you will notice that your body becomes tense, it clenches, it stiffens up, right? That's what occurs when you have any of that, right? So then what happens is that once you start running these clearings, all the fight response is kind of leaving your body. And as the fight response leaves your body, what happens is you experience that space, you experience that relaxation, you experience that ease in your body, because the fight response is all stored in your body. And so with all these clearings, we are clearing all those fight responses. Sorry. So who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you a job beyond what you have ever considered? So let's release on that. Yeah, so I would encourage everyone to who has just joined in to go back and listen to this from the beginning, because I've run a lot of clearings, and these clearings are going to unlock all this fight response which is stored in your body. And I would encourage you to keep listening to this over and over again, because there's a lot of fight response which is stored in our body. Okay, so, who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you all of you? Let's release on that. So again, I would also encourage you guys to do some pen and paper work, do some journaling with this question. Who or what am I fighting for or against? Because either you're fighting for something or you're fighting against something, right? So it's always good when you just when you write this question and just write down whatever is in your head, just put it on paper. What will happen is that you will start to see all the things that you're fighting for or against, right? And this is something that I clear a lot for myself, and it still keeps coming up. So I realized just how much of a fight response is actually stored in my body. Okay, and once you start running this clearing, what also starts to occur is that the next time when you are going through life and then the fight response shows up, you will be like, oh yeah, that's the fight response which is showing up. Okay, and you will go, okay, I'm in my fight mode right now, so never mind, I'm not choosing that. And then in that moment you can just choose not to be in the fight mode. But right now you totally don't have a choice, because you don't even know when you don't even know when you are in the fight mode, because you didn't even know that you were in the fight mode to begin with. Make sense? Okay, so who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you more of you? Let's release on that. So if you would like to have the clearing loop of fight, just type in fight loop in the comments, and once I make the loop, I will get it to you guys. Okay, so who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you more of you? So it's even the yawning, it's like a sign of energetic shift, so when you start releasing the stuff that is locked into your body, that's when you might yawn or have tears flowing down, or a gurgling in your stomach and all of that. So who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you more of you? Yes, this is one of those core concepts. Like, this one has been one of those concepts which has really created a huge change in my life, because I realized just how strong of a fight response I had in me. And even now I still have it, right? But now the only difference is that I'm kind of more conscious about it. I know when my fight response has triggered, right? And so I can make a different choice in that moment, right? And the other choice is that I can continue to play a clearing loop, and I can continue to clear this fight, uh, you know, keep that fight response in place. Yep. So, who or what are you fighting for or against? That if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give me more of me. Now, what also starts to occur is when you start running these, when you start releasing the fight response from your body, you also start having awarenesses, and some of the ways that the fight response kicks in are really not what you would define as a fight response. Okay, so for example, one of my things is that I don't like conflict. So I'm always in the fight response, and I don't like conflict. So these two things are conflictual realities. But the way that I would say I don't like conflict is that if I notice that something is not working for me, I will not call BS on it with anybody, right? I will just kind of notice it, and I will just go, okay, you know what? They behaved in that way, and this doesn't work for me. So I will just disengage from it, and I will just leave that. Okay. And for me, that has kind of created not so much ease, and this is kind of, you could say it's like a boundaries issue, right? So I will fight to avoid conflict. I would fight to avoid conflict, you know so this is something that I kind of started to realize, that I'm fighting to avoid conflict. And so what I will do is I will avoid having those difficult conversations with people, right? So, for example, if I have a very clear cut deal with someone and they break that deal, then I will not even, I will not even face them on that deal. I will just avoid that. So that's my fight. So this is like a very, very interesting realization that I've had really recently. And it's coming from this space of, releasing the fight response from my body. So, who or what are you fighting for or against? That if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give me more of me. Let's release on that. So, so what I would kind of invite you guys is that listen to this, again and again, this particular video. Along with this, I'm going to gift you a clearing loop. So if you would like the loop, just let me know loop in the comments below. And play this loop, play this video at least 15 to 20 minutes every single day. And my sense is do it at least for 90 to 100 days. When you do it for 90 to 100 days, you will see that huge shift occur for you. And it's not like one day and then the next day something huge will change, but it's that little by little by little you're letting go of that fight response, and you're letting go of that um, of that tenseness and all of that. And as you let go of all that, there is this melting that occurs, there's this mellowing that occurs, and then you don't have a lot of force and effort in your universe anymore, and you are just relaxing into things, if that makes sense. And this is something that you really have to experience it. It's not really something that you will get by my talking about it, but you are experiencing it in this moment because of all the clearings that we have done so far. So who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you more of you? Let's release on that. So, who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you more of you? Let's release on that. Yeah, the tears can be a sign of release. For me, also, a lot of times, when I'm doing these releases, I start having a lot of water flowing out of my eyes. So, who or what are you fighting for or against, that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you more of you? So like, just play with this, listen to this more. You can, like, after you've listened to this entire video once loudly, you can just play it on very low volume, without even really consciously listening to it, and it will still do the work. It will do the work of releasing all the fight response that is stored in your body. Okay. Now, today, I also wanted to I also wanted to talk about defending, right? I wanted to talk about defending. However, there is not enough time, and I want to talk about defending more. So I think this is going to be one of my topics in the new year. I already have all my topics set for this year. So in the new year, I will have defending as one of my topics. And that is another biggie. That is another way in which we lock up energies in our body. So I'm going to run this fight release a few times, and then we can end this. If you are having any awareness at this point of time, like any area of your life where you have had a lot of fight response, uh, just I'd love to know in the comments. Let me know in the comments, okay? So who or what are you fighting for or against? That if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you more of you. So, who or what are you fighting for or against that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you more of you? So, who or what are you fighting for or against that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you more of you? Yes, great. So people are having some good awarenesses of where, this fight response is operating in your life, right? And so as you keep listening to this and you keep listening to the loop that I'm going to gift you, it's going to start clearing a lot of things for you. Remember that you have to listen to it at least, make sure that you listen to it at least for 90 to 100 days. And you might need to listen to it even more, depending on how much fight response you have stored in you. And so, for those of you who just joined, if you would like to have the loop for the fight loop, just a comment loop in the comments, and I'll get it to you as soon as I make it. So who or what are you fighting for or against that if you were to stop fighting for or against it, would give you more of you? Okay, fantastic. I think this was it for today. Thanks everyone for listening to me. And I will see you next week. And in the new year, definitely, I'm going to talk about defending, because, again, that's a big topic. That's a big energy that we lock up in our body. So we'll have a different conversation about it. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And I will see you next week at the same time. Thanks, everyone, and bye.